Hi folks, this is CNB. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Partnkar. Thank you for joining us for a brand new episode. I have promised to bring you a whole lot more from the Paris Motor Show. We will do that today on the program. Besides that, I also want to introduce to you the all-new, fully automatic Honda Brio. I'm saying it like that because, well, you know what? They've decided to give it this tagline saying that love comes easy, love-o-matic. It sounds like one of those 1980s commercials when you had semi-automatic and fully automatic washing machines, doesn't it? I'm sorry, but that's exactly what it sounds like to me. So yeah, I'm gonna have a little fun with that perhaps today, but that's not the big point. The big point is that the Brio has gone automatic. We were the first ones to tell you that Honda will do an automatic on the Brio, and so I'm very happy to show this to you on the program today. We've been distracted by other things like the Paris Motor Show, but you know, it's interesting to see more and more automatic cars coming in. So we'll talk about this car. We'll of course talk about Paris as well. First up, let me quickly take you through what that new automatic transmission is all about.
So it's a new variant on what's definitely a popular car for Honda. But it's certainly not the segment favorite with stiff competition from the likes of the Ritz, i10 and Beat. Adding an automatic to the portfolio will endear the Brio to buyers it already attracts. Urban, young, upwardly mobile. And yes, women buyers too. But automatics are still not so in vogue. That will mean a volume bonanza for Honda. The company has a reputation for offering fuel-efficient auto gearboxes and yet keeping one eye on performance. And unlike previous generations, which leaned on CVT or continuously variable transmissions, the 5-speed auto gearbox in the Brio is the same as the current cities, minus the paddle shifters of course. A CVT is offered on the Brio in Thailand, but we are told our version is a peppier performer. Mileage hovers around the 13 km per litre mark for mixed city and highway driving with AC. Honda has decided to offer the automatic love machine in 2 variants, which is a smart move. While it's not going to be available on the base variant, all others now have both manual and auto gearbox options. So this means that the auto variants will have things like front airbags and ABS standard.
So just like Maruti did with its Desire, Honda is playing it smart by bringing in 2 variants of the automatic. That's a good move. And you of course want me to stop with all this and tell you how the car drives. Well, I can tell you that the gearbox does not feel antiquated or gimmicky or toy car like as it does in the competition cars. The segment right now features 4-speed automatics by both Maruti with its A-Star and Hyundai with its i10. It's not the fact that this is 5-speed and those are 4-speed. Don't get me wrong. It's just the overall feel, the response that you get from this car. It doesn't feel like a golf cart. It feels like it should. And while it's not as much fun as the manual for sure, I will say that the overall fun quotient of the Brio doesn't really go down. Handling, etc., of course, remains pretty similar too. And so on the whole, I think a lot of people are going to appreciate this gearbox. Now, the official launch is next week. Bookings have begun, but that's when we'll actually find out prices. So I hope Honda also stays aggressive on pricing with this automatic version as it has with the Brio in general. Right, so that's the Honda Brio Automatic, Love-O-matic, call it what you will. And now let's go back to the Paris Motor Show as I promised. There is plenty more to show you from the Mondiale, the L'Automobile.
French industry has some quirky electric and fuel-driven cars that qualify as quadricycles, and they're really catching on in big cities like Paris because they are more cost-efficient to own. X and Mega, Ligier, just to name a few. But the stuff you want to see is from the likes of Suzuki.
The tailgate, kind of Audi-like in its styling, especially the rear tail lights. Now the S-Cross is yet another iteration of the famous Swift platform, the new one of course. And you remember the XA Alpha concept at the Auto Expo? Well, similar sort of an idea and a similar sort of a appeal really. Compact SUVs, that's the big story here in Europe. It is going to be the big story in India too. So products like this become so important. This is of course just a concept at this stage, but I can tell you that it's very clear the direction that Suzuki wants to go with. There will be petrols, there will be diesels, and of course in the future, who knows, perhaps even a little electric crossover too. But in terms of styling, shape, size, take a good look at this because well, you're seeing a concept now. A production car can't be far ahead.
And we will get it at the 2014 Auto Expo. There were also various avatars of the Suzuki Swift which we won't get, but here's something we will get just next week, the SsangYong Rexton.
Now it's certainly gotten to look a lot more premium than it used to. I mean, this is one car that used to look a little bit outdated. Now that cabin, overall, just the material, the finish, the kind of colors you're seeing, and of course the space which has always been the same. All of that looks a lot more contemporary, and it's something that will hold this car in good stead when SsangYong makes its debut in the Indian market. So it's going to be the new Rexton that makes its entry into India, and you can see that even from the exterior, the car we showed you, we're the first ones to show you the Rexton if you remember, that car looked a little bit weird, a little antiquated compared to this. It's a little bit more flair, makes the car look more uniform up front. It doesn't look sort of tall and boxy. It's got a little more streamlined and a lot more high-end, so definitely prettier, and it's something that I think people will notice when the car comes to India. It's also going to have to take on everything from a Santa Fe to a Fortuner and a Captiva, so the little prettying up front helps, the big size helps as well, and then at the back too, again, it doesn't look awkward, looks a lot more plush, very smart contemporary taillight treatment. On the whole, I think if it's priced right, it's going to be quite an interesting offering in our SUV space.
SsangYong has also unveiled the third and final stage of its XIV concept. This takes the XIV into the electric hybrid zone with a 1-litre 2-cylinder petrol engine mated to a 107 bhp electric motor with a 16 kWh lithium-ion battery. This is supposed to give the eXIV a range of about 600 kilometers. No production plans as yet for the XIV, but the new platform being developed will be shared with Mahindra for a possible second-generation Scorpio. Toyota now, and besides the new Auris, it also brought its hybrid TS030 Le Mans car to the show. While its brand Lexus had the LFCC concept with a 2.5-litre petrol engine also mated to an electric motor. The LFCC points to the design language that Lexus cars will carry in the near future. Hyundai debuted its i30 3-door hatch for Europe, while sister brand Kia had the new 7-seater Carens, and similar to the i30, the 2013 Proceed was also on show. The Nissan Terra FC EV is a crossover concept that is all electric, borrowing the drivetrain from the Leaf and the styling cues from its Duke. The Renault Group's budget brand Dacia has taken the wraps off new versions of its two bestsellers, the Logan sedan and the Sandero hatch. Second generations of both cars look super attractive now, don't they? Sadly, we won't get the Logan or its variants since Renault has a non-compete clause as part of its handover of the old Logan to Mahindra all the way till 2019. At the Honda stand, we saw a colourful tribute to its iconic Civic hatch, sadly as the Civic bows out of India, and also the new CR-V, which we have now shown you from a couple of motor shows. But sadly, not much else from Honda here.
So as you saw, there wasn't very much from Honda to really excite me at the Paris Motor Show, which is a little unfortunate. However, things will change very dramatically in 2013 because you're going to have a whole lot coming from Honda. There will of course be the diesel sedan that's going to be based on the Brio platform. It's official now. Honda says that sedan will arrive actually by the beginning of 2013. It will be only the sedan that gets the diesel, not the hatch, not the City, not the Jazz, not in the current avatars. Only when the next model cycle comes around, well, that's when Honda says that the diesel engine will go into the other cars as well, and it might just go into the next generation Brio hatch too. But for now, it's going to be that diesel, and there's also the new CR-V that you just saw again from Paris. that will be making its appearance here also by about the perhaps end of the first quarter of next calendar year. So lots to look forward to then next year from Honda, and you got lots to react to on this car. We've also got lots from the Paris Motor Show still for you on the other side of this break.
Sequels to super hits don't always fare well, especially if the Part 1 has been India's best-selling car for 8 straight years. But with the all-new Alto 800, Maruti Suzuki expects to do better than before. The Alto 800 is a replacement only for the old Alto 800cc. The 1-litre Alto K10 stays on as is. With this car, Maruti is clearly looking to regain its dominance in the small car entry segment, which recently has seen slower growth and also importantly fiercer competition. Aptly called the Alto 800, Maruti is clearly hoping that it combines the past success of the Maruti 800 and the Alto. So let's find out if the Alto 800 can live up to these expectations. God's own country Kerala was where we put the Alto 800 to the test, with a drive from Kochi to the picturesque Athirapalli Falls. The first impression we got is that the new Alto 800 is definitely a step up from its predecessor, with a smoother engine and a roomier cabin. We wade smoothly through the city traffic and the car responds well at low revs. Despite not being as sporty as the K10, the Alto 800 does offer fairly smooth handling, and with an improved torque it does pretty well in city traffic as well as on the highway. And with minor tweaks in the engine, it feels fairly smoother than the previous Alto, and Maruti is claiming a fuel efficiency of 22.7 kilometers per litre. Pretty impressive. So it's clearly the boost in fuel efficiency that Maruti will be pinning their hopes onto to drive the sales of the Alto 800. We did manage to push the Alto 800 to 115 kilometers per hour on the highway, and the car was stable all through. Well, the new Alto comes in 3 variants, both in petrol as well as CNG, the standard LX and LXI. We're driving the LXI all the way to Athirapalli Falls, and the top end boasts of features like the power windows, power steering, and interestingly an airbag for the driver, something that the earlier Alto did not offer. Now those power window switches are oddly placed a la Mahindra, just below the gear shift. Some new utility additions include a bottle holder in the center console and an open space on the dashboard above the glove box. Customers can also choose from 2 options of interior colors, cool grey black and a new brown black. Now the first time car buyer is usually a small family, and the back seat of the Alto 800 is fairly sufficient to meet their requirements. Legroom Maruti has increased by over 15 millimeters, but importantly the overall roomy feel the back seat gives is fairly sufficient. Width has been increased by over 15 millimeters, and importantly headroom has gone up by 22 millimeters, making a world of difference. Out on the roads, the Alto 800 looks taller despite the wheelbase and the ground clearance staying the same, and looks much sportier than the previous Alto. It will come in 6 colors: frost blue, blazing red, silky silver, talc blue, granite grey and superior white. Now the Alto 800 looks nothing like its predecessor, and in fact I think it's a far better looking car than the previous Alto, although some would argue that many of its designs are from other contemporary cars, but Maruti engineers like to call it elegant and contemporary. Let's start off with the pearl shaped big bold headlamps here, which come well into the back, as well as the chrome plated grille, slim grille here with a big Suzuki badge on it. Also something new for Maruti is this huge grille here with air vents above and below. As we move towards the back, we can see these lines which add a lot more character to the car. They go all the way to the back, but the disappointment is the rear view mirrors itself, they don't come in body colored, even in the top end, although the door handles come in body colored for the top end itself. But the overall height of the car looks much taller than the previous Alto. In fact, Maruti says that the overall height of the car has been increased by about 15 millimeters, although the wheelbase and the ground clearance remains the same. As we come towards the back, you can see fairly new set of tail lamps here, nice big bold ones, as well as the rear view mirror, the windshield at the back to give better viewing for the driver itself. A fairly nice big space for loading as well as unloading. Overall, I think that the Alto 800 really scores in terms of the looks, and it really offers something more distinct than the K10, which won't be confused with the Alto K10 that's already in the market. And Maruti has clarified that the K10 is not likely to get this design anytime soon.
Now the Alto launches next week with ex-showroom prices expected to start around 2.5 lakh rupees for the standard model.
We're back inside the Porte de Versailles in Paris, and let's begin this segment with something sexy. The Lamborghini Gallardo LP564 sees the Gallardo range getting a slight facelift, changes in the front and rear. There's also a new LP570 Edizione Tecnica specification with new colors, a fixed rear wing and carbon ceramic brakes. On to cousin Porsche next, which showed us this, the Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo.
The Sport Turismo is of course a hybrid model from Porsche, but but is actually the right word, because it's at the rear where the big styling changes happen for this car. Now take a look at some of the other elements, very sharply done lines, but you know, the thing is that when the first Panamera came out, everybody said that look, it's a little bit forced, it's a little exaggerated, this whole thing that you're trying to do with a 4-door, 4 or 5-seater vehicle. At the back is where it starts to get really sexy now. Now this is, to some people perhaps, you might want to call it a station wagon if you're unkind, but you know what, frankly the proportions all just sort of seem to come together a whole lot more. It looks a whole lot more refined too, and it won't be surprising if the entire Panamera family eventually starts to look like this at the rear.
Ferrari always brings in the crowds, and this carbon fiber tub certainly got us hooked. The chassis for the next generation Enzo car-like indicates derivatives from Formula 1. The car will be a limited edition and will most likely be hybrid too. Sister company Alfa Romeo always features some stunning Italian beauties, as does Maserati, which impressed with this. The Gran Cabrio MC gets the MC Stradale performance into the 4-seater convertible now.
Now to a lot of people, the A-Class is still pretty new. They haven't had a chance to see it before, so they get a chance to do that here at Paris. But it's the same perhaps with the CLS shooting brake, the station wagon version. But oh my God, take a look at this. Now, I have no words. Words fail me. This is how you do a show car, isn't it? This isn't paint. This is a bit of a vinyl finish that's been pasted on there, but nice and bright in blue. And if that wasn't enough, you know, to make sure that all the photographers look at this car, well, the white, slightly overdone metallic finish alloy wheels certainly will. It's the electric drive version of the SLS AMG, and the whole idea here is to, once again, for a lot of the German manufacturers, especially those who make performance cars, you know, turn around and say that, look guys, we can do environmentally conscious and environmentally friendly, yet performance-oriented cars.
Mercedes-Benz also used the opportunity to dress its B-Class in a similar fashion, also an electric drive concept.
The ATS is a car we showed you from Pebble Beach as well, from the Quail Gathering. You can get a slightly closer look at it right now if you like, and you know, the thing is, overall Cadillac's styling and build quality and just overall quality parameters have just gone up, and so it's becoming more of a stronger, let's say, rival to the German brands. Look at this finish in terms of just the way the styling and the execution has been carried out in the headlamp. You're seeing a lot of lines in the metal as well, and you know, this is a nice, compact, smart looking car. Something like this, well, would always work in India, but still too premature to start talking about Cadillac. Taillight treatment, again, nice and aggressive, very sharp, so different from what is in the market. Really different boot as well. And of course, the famous Cadillac point coming out here, little arrowhead of a stop light as well at the back. Really sharp, very different, and really very attractive.
Bentley unveiled the Continental GT3 race car, exhibiting the brand's ambitions of wanting a return to motorsport. On to humbler things, and we showed you the EcoSport last week. Ford also showed us the new B-Max and this Tornado concept. While Volkswagen debuted its much-touted new 7th generation Golf based on the new MQB modular chassis that we saw with the Audi A3. Remember? The Golf GTI also made its debut here. Sadly, no India plans still for the Golf.
Small microcars are of course efficient, but they're also cute, they're stylish, and they're very retro inspired. And that's again what you're seeing here from Opel. The Adam is of course a tribute to Adam Opel, the founder of the company. But more than that, what you're also getting is just this feel that, look, it's cars like this that are going to be more practical going forward, so you might as well work on them to make them a little bit sexier and a little bit more attractive. And once again, like the Cinquecento from Fiat, the Fiat 500, and even other cars like the Audi A1, you're seeing a sloping little roofline and lots of two-tone. Looks pretty cute, doesn't it? The new Skoda Identity, no longer on just a concept. This is actually a production car. And of course, unlike the Indian Rapid, the European Rapid is a hatch at the back, so it's not just a regular boot. And it's going to stand this car in good stead because Skoda wants to once again occupy that compact executive sedan space which the previous generation Octavia used to occupy. I mean, the Laura is a lot bigger, right? What we call the Laura, which is the current Octavia here in Europe. Now, look at the styling elements. Again, very similar to the concept you saw at Geneva. And I told you then that the European Rapid will be bigger than the Indian Rapid. Look at this, the new grille, the very simplified logo again, and sharp lines in the headlamp cluster, down in the bumper, and of course sharp lines in the body as well, going to the back and in the hood. All of these elements you will find in the facelift of the Superb, which arrives about February or March globally, and then of course in the next generation Octavia 2, which will arrive later next year.
So plenty to look forward to globally, but hey, even for us in India, the Chevy Trax, the Jaguar F-Type, Suzuki S-Cross, the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and of course the Ford EcoSport, to name a few.
So a whole lot there from Paris. You've got to react to what you've seen there. NDTV.com/Siddharth is how you can do that. It's also the automatic Brio that I want to hear from you about. So send it all in. Our Jensen button contest, again something that's gotten me excited. I get a chance to meet more of you. So please remember to enter that contest. It will be a lot of fun. And until next week, it's au revoir. Please wear your seatbelts.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display, full screen view, faster response time, and Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.